The day Earth made first contact was supposed to be humanity's greatest triumph. Instead, it became their greatest humiliation. Commander John Murphy stood tall on the bridge of the Earthship Pioneer as it approached the massive space station that served as headquarters for the Galactic Council. Through the view screen, he could see hundreds of ships from different worlds, all sleek and elegant compared to Earth's bulky vessel. "Nervous, sir?" asked Lieutenant Susan Clark, adjusting her uniform. "Just eager to make a good impression," Murphy replied, though his tight grip on the railing suggested otherwise. The Pioneer docked with a metallic clunk that seemed embarrassingly loud. Ambassador Peter Collins led the small Earth delegation through the airlock, followed by Murphy, Clark, and 5 other crew members chosen to represent humanity's best. The alien greeting party waited in the docking bay. The leader, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, stepped forward. "I am Zextarian, Supreme Counselor of the Galactic Federation. Welcome, humans of Earth." Collins bowed slightly. "We are honored to be invited to present our case for membership." As they walked through the station's vast corridors, Murphy noticed how other aliens stopped to stare at them. Some whispered to each other. Others made sounds that seemed like laughter. The council chamber was enormous, with seating for thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds. The Earth delegation was led to a small platform in the center. Species 4291, designation humans from planet Earth, Sol system, requests recognition and membership, announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. Zextarian spoke from a high platform. "Present your qualifications." Collins stepped forward and activated a holographic display showing Earth's achievements, their cities, their space program, their scientific advances. "We have achieved faster than light travel just 50 years after our first moon landing," Collins said proudly. "We have peaceful relations among our nations and are eager to join the galactic community." A low murmur spread through the chamber. A representative with green scales and 6 eyes stood. "How many worlds have you colonized?" the alien asked. "We have settlements on Mars and research stations throughout our solar system," Collins answered. "1 planet." The alien's voice dripped with mockery. "And your FTL drive? It requires how much energy?" "Our current drives require the energy output of a small city for each jump," Collins admitted. Open laughter filled the chamber now. Murphy felt his face grow hot. Another alien, tall with purple skin, spoke next. "And what is the basis of your computer technology?" "Silicon-based semiconductors with quantum processing for our most advanced systems," Collins replied, his confidence clearly fading. The laughter grew louder. "Silicon," someone shouted. "They might as well use rocks." Susan Clark leaned close to Murphy. "This isn't a fair hearing. They're putting on a show." Zextarian raised a hand, and the chamber quieted. "Humans, the Council has reviewed your application. Earth is classified as a Class D developing species. You may establish a listening post here, but have no voting rights. Additionally, for your own protection, restrictions will be placed on technologies that may be traded to your world." Collins tried to object. "Supreme Counselor, we came in peace to join as equals." "Equals?" interrupted an Arcturian representative. "Your species still fights over resources on your own world. You've barely mastered the basics of genetic engineering. Your artificial intelligence is primitive at best." "The Council's decision is final," Zextarian declared. "You will be assigned a regulatory overseer to ensure compliance with technology restrictions." As they were escorted from the chamber, Murphy heard continued laughter behind them. Back on the Pioneer, the Earth delegation sat in stunned silence. "They never intended to accept us as equals," Murphy said finally. "This was all a show to put us in our place." Susan Clark nodded. "I noticed something interesting, though. The way they dismissed our AI research seemed worried, almost like they fear something about how we approach technology." Collins looked up from his hands. "So what do we do now?" Murphy stood and looked out at the stars. "We go home. We tell Earth what happened here. And then, his eyes narrowed, we show them exactly what humans do when they're underestimated. The Pioneer detached from the station and began its journey home, carrying a crew no longer dejected, but determined. The Galactic Council had made a critical error. They had given humanity something dangerous, a reason to prove them wrong. 6 months after Earth's humiliation at the Galactic Council, Dr. Alan Wright sat alone in his lab, staring at brain scans. The neurologist had been working nonstop since the Pioneer returned with news of their treatment by the aliens. "I think I found it," he said to himself, enlarging a section of the human neural map on his screen. The door slid open, and Chief Engineer Kelly Martinez walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Found what?" she asked, setting a cup beside him. Alan pointed to the screen. "The thing that makes us different. Look at these neural pathways. They're unique to humans. I've compared our brain structure to the alien medical database they shared. No other species has these particular connections." Kelly leaned closer. "What do? They allow for intuitive leaps, creative problem solving, the ability to make connections between seemingly unrelated concepts." Ellen smiled. "The very things the aliens dismissed as primitive thinking are actually our greatest strength." That same day, in Washington, D.C., representatives from Earth's nations gathered for an emergency summit. The large conference room was filled with tense faces. At the head table sat Commander Murphy and Ambassador Collins. "We need to unite," Collins told the assembly. "The Galactic Council sees us as weak because we're divided." An older woman with silver hair stood up. "President Irene Foster of the United States, we propose forming an Earth coalition with a unified space program and defense force." Surprisingly, one by one, other world leaders agreed. The humiliation at the Council had done what centuries of earthly politics could not: unite humanity under a common purpose. Meanwhile, in a hidden facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Jack Peterson, an intelligence officer, examined surveillance footage. He had been tracking unusual movement patterns among certain tourists who had arrived after Earth's return from the Council. "They're watching us," he reported to his superior over a secure line. "I've identified 12 alien observers so far. They're monitoring our tech development, our military, everything." "Keep tracking them," came the reply. "But don't let them know we're onto them." 3 months later, Kelly Martinez worked in a secret hangar built inside an asteroid orbiting Jupiter, far from the alien observers' attention. Her team labored over a new ship engine unlike anything Earth had built before. "The standard physics they taught us doesn't account for this," she explained to a visiting Murphy. "Their equations assume logical, sequential development of technology. But humans don't think that way." She pointed to the strange-looking drive core. "This design came from a dream I had. It shouldn't work according to their rules, but it does, and it's 10 times more efficient than their best drives." On Earth, the coalition formed Project Prometheus to coordinate humanity's secret technological development. While officially complying with Council restrictions, underground facilities around the world worked on technologies that leveraged human creativity and intuition. Dr. Wright developed interfaces that amplified human intuitive thinking. Kelly's team built engines that defied alien physics. Other scientists created weapons, shields, and communication systems unlike anything in the Council database. 1 year after their humiliation, Earth leaders gathered again. The mood was different now, determined rather than defeated. "The Council thinks we'll accept our place as a backward species," Murphy told them. "They expect us to slowly advance along the path they've set, taking centuries to reach their level." President Foster smiled. "But we're not going to do that, are we?" "No, Madam President," Murphy replied. "They think they're dealing with a predictable, logical species. Their mistake was judging us by their standards." "How long until we're ready?" Collins asked. Murphy looked around at the assembly. 5 years. We need 5 years to build in secret. Then humanity will be ready to show the Galactic Council exactly what they misunderstood about us. As the meeting ended, Earth continued to appear compliant and primitive to their alien observers. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, one that would soon shock the galaxy. 5 years passed. On the outside, Earth appeared to progress slowly, following the development path the Galactic Council had set. Alien observers reported back to their superiors that humans were behaving exactly as expected, struggling with basic interplanetary travel and making only small improvements to their technology. What the observers didn't see was happening in secret, hidden from their watchful eyes. Deep beneath the lunar surface, Director Frank Miller walked through a massive underground factory. Workers built ship components using machines that shouldn't exist according to the technology level Earth was supposed to have. "How many ships can we complete this month?" Miller asked his assistant. 20 more will be ready," the assistant replied. "That brings our fleet to over 200 vessels." Miller nodded with satisfaction. "And the aliens suspect nothing. Our dummy satellites keep their attention. They're still watching our decoy space program." Elsewhere on the moon, Colonel Stephanie Brown led a training session for Earth's new space forces. 50 men and women practiced combat maneuvers in a large chamber. Again, she ordered as they finished an exercise. "The aliens have been fighting in space for thousands of years. We have 5 years of experience. We need to be faster, more unpredictable." A young soldier raised his hand. "Ma'am, why not just use the same tactics they do? They must work if they've used them so long." Brown smiled. "Because predictability is their weakness. Their tactics are perfectly logical, and that's why we'll beat them. They can't handle surprises." Meanwhile, in a research facility hidden in Antarctica, Professor Laura Rodriguez made final adjustments to a device that bent light around objects, making them invisible to sensors. "The masking field is stable," she told her team. "We can hide an entire fleet from their detection systems." One of her assistants looked worried. "Are we really going to challenge the entire Galactic Council? They have thousands of worlds." "We don't need to beat all of them," Laura explained. "Just shock them enough to force them to recognize us as equals." In orbit around Mars, Captain Daniel White conducted the first full test of Earth's new stealth ship, the Defiance. The small vessel moved silently through space, its revolutionary drive leaving no energy signature. "All systems green," reported his second-in-command. "The Murphy jump drive is operating at full capacity." Daniel smiled at the name. Commander Murphy, now Admiral Murphy, had become something of a legend in the 5 years since the humiliation at the Council. His determination had inspired Earth's secret buildup. "Let's push it to the limit," Daniel ordered. "Jump to Neptune and back. Let's see what she can do." The ship disappeared in a flash of light that no alien sensors detected. On Earth, in the headquarters of the now powerful Earth Coalition, Admiral Murphy met with world leaders. The large room was filled with representatives from every nation. "The Council's centennial gathering begins in 1 month," Murphy explained. "All major species will attend. It's our perfect opportunity." President Foster, still in office after being re-elected, studied the holographic display showing their plan. "Are we ready?" "Our fleet is built," Murphy confirmed. "Our soldiers are trained. Our technology works. Most importantly, the aliens have no idea what's coming." Dr. Wright, who had developed the neural interface technology, now installed on all Earth ships, spoke up. "Remember, our advantage isn't just technology, it's unpredictability. The Council species think in patterns, in logical progressions. We need to be what they can't understand: creative, intuitive, surprising." Jack Peterson, now head of Earth Intelligence, pointed to several locations on the galactic map. "We've identified 12 Council worlds with minimal defenses. Our stealth ships can appear at all of them simultaneously. And we've made contact with other species classified as developing," added Ambassador Collins. "Many are ready to support us once we make our move." Admiral Murphy stood tall, looking at the assembled leaders of Earth. 5 years ago, they laughed at us. In 1 month, they'll never laugh at humanity again. The room erupted in determined applause. The time for hiding was almost over. Earth was ready to strike back. The Galactic Council's centennial gathering was a display of power and prestige. Thousands of ships from hundreds of worlds filled the space around the massive council station. Inside, representatives from all major species celebrated their civilization's achievements. Supreme Counselor Zexterian stood on the main platform, addressing the assembly. For 10,000 years, our council has guided the development of the galaxy. We have brought order to chaos, wisdom to ignorance, and peace to conflict. The aliens applauded, their various appendages creating a strange rhythm that echoed through the chamber. Even now, we nurture new species toward enlightenment, Zexterian continued. The humans of Earth, though primitive, may one day rise to. His words were cut short as the lights flickered. The massive view screen behind him, which had been showing images of advanced alien worlds, suddenly changed. The face of Admiral John Murphy appeared on the screen, wearing the uniform of Earth's United Fleet. "Greetings, Supreme Counselor," Murphy said calmly. "I hope we're not interrupting your celebration." Zexterian's 4 arms gestured in surprise. "What is the meaning of this? How did you breach our communications?" Murphy smiled. "The same way we've breached your defenses." At that exact moment, alarms began to sound throughout the station. On the auxiliary screens around the chamber, images appeared from 12 different council worlds. At each location, Earth ships had suddenly appeared. Ships that shouldn't exist according to what the council knew of human technology. Captain Daniel White led the team that had infiltrated the council's security systems. From his hidden position in a maintenance tunnel, he and his small crew had placed devices that gave them control of the station's communications. "All systems accessed," reported his technician. "We're broadcasting to every world in council space." On the main platform, Zexterian was shouting orders. "Contact our defense fleets. Remove these primitives from our space immediately." But the council's military leaders were already receiving disturbing reports. Earth ships had appeared simultaneously at 12 strategic locations. How had they traveled so far, so quickly, without being detected? Admiral Nancy Taylor commanded Earth's flagship, the Defiance, which hovered visible just outside the council station's defensive perimeter. "All ships report ready," her tactical officer informed her. "Begin demonstration," Nancy ordered. Across council space, Earth ships fired their weapons, not at planets or stations, but at empty space. The energy beams curved around defensive shields, split into multiple trajectories, and deactivated weapon systems without harming the ships themselves. The Council's military attempted to respond, but their tactics were predictable, exactly as Colonel Brown had trained her people to expect. The Earth ships moved in patterns no alien strategist had anticipated, making standard Council defense formations useless. Back in the Council chamber, Murphy continued speaking to the stunned assembly. "We could have attacked you directly," he explained. "Instead, we chose to demonstrate our capabilities without causing casualties. Now, allow us to share something else with you." The screens changed again, now showing internal Council documents, secret archives, and private communications, all revealing how the Council had systematically suppressed developing species, stolen their innovations, and manipulated their development to prevent competition. Ambassador Collins stepped into view beside Murphy on the broadcast. "For 5 years, we appeared to accept our designation as a primitive species," he said. "In that time, we developed technologies your scientists believed impossible. We did this not to conquer, but to earn our rightful place among the stars." Throughout Council space, representatives from other developing worlds watched the broadcast. Many had suffered similar humiliation to Earth. Now they saw humanity standing up to their oppressors. "The Galactic Council is corrupt," Murphy declared. "It does not serve all species equally. Earth proposes a new order, one where innovation is rewarded, not suppressed, and where all sentient beings have equal rights." On several council worlds, other developing species began to rise up, inspired by Earth's example. The carefully maintained order of 10,000 years began to crumble in a single day. And in the council chamber, Zextarian faced a terrible realization. By mocking humanity, he had set in motion the end of everything he had built. In the weeks following Earth's dramatic demonstration, the galaxy was in turmoil. The once mighty Galactic Council fractured as species chose sides. Some demanded war against the upstart humans. Others called for reform. Many of the developing species declared their support for Earth. In a secure conference room on Earth's moon base, diplomat Gregory Adams addressed representatives from 23 formerly oppressed civilizations. "The Council has controlled us through fear and limited our access to technology," Greg said, his voice calm but firm. "Together, we can build something better. An alliance of free species where all members have equal voice." A representative from Proxima Centauri, a squat purple being with 6 eyes, spoke up. "The Council's fleets still outnumber us. How can we hope to stand against them?" Admiral Murphy, who sat beside Greg, smiled. "Numbers alone don't win conflicts. Creativity does." On the Council homeworld, Supreme Counselor Zextarian faced growing pressure. Several Council members had already resigned. Others demanded action against Earth. "These humans must be punished," insisted the Syrian representative, his scaled skin flushed with anger. "If we allow this challenge to go unanswered, other species will follow their example." "I agree," Zextarian replied. "We will crush this rebellion and remind the galaxy why the Council has ruled for 10,000 years. But privately, Zextarian worried. The humans had already displayed technology that should have been impossible for them to develop so quickly. What other surprises might they have? Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Julia Bennett led a small team of Earth ships on a daring mission. Intelligence had discovered that the Proxima Centauri mining colonies used slave labor from several developing species. The Council had hidden this fact for centuries. Julia's ships dropped out of jump space near the largest mining facility. Using Earth's stealth technology, they approached undetected. "Remember," Julia told her crew, "this is a rescue mission, not an attack. Minimal force." The Earth teams moved through the facility with speed and precision. The alien guards, used to unquestioning obedience from their slaves, were unprepared for the coordinated assault. Within hours, over 3,000 slaves were freed and brought aboard the Earth vessels. News of the rescue spread quickly through the galaxy. Earth released images of the freed beings, many showing signs of abuse and neglect. More evidence of Council corruption emerged each day as Earth's intelligence team, led by Jack Peterson, continued to release secret archives. Several Council species, disgusted by the revelations, defected to Earth's alliance. Others, particularly those who had directly benefited from the exploitation, prepared for war. The Council attempted to isolate Earth by blockading key jump points, but Earth ships, using the Murphy jump drive, simply bypassed these positions, appearing where they weren't expected. President Foster addressed the United Earth government, her face serious but determined. "We never wanted war," she said. "We simply wanted recognition as equals. The Council refused us that basic dignity, and now they face the consequences of their arrogance." Back on the Council homeworld, pressure mounted against Zextarian. Several junior Council members, led by an Arcturian named Vex Nor, staged a political coup. "Your leadership has brought us to the brink of galactic war," Vex Nor accused as security forces surrounded Zextarian. "Your dismissal of the humans was a catastrophic error." Zextarian was removed from power. Vex Nor took his place as Supreme Counselor and immediately sent a message to Earth requesting peace talks. Admiral Murphy received the message with caution. "It could be a trap," he warned President Foster. "Of course it could," she agreed. "But we must appear willing to negotiate. It strengthens our position with our allies." Greg Adams, Earth's chief diplomat, prepared for the meeting. "I'll be ready for whatever they plan," he promised. What no one on Earth realized was that the hardliners on the Council had not given up. While Vex Nor spoke of peace, others prepared a massive fleet, one designed to end the human threat once and for all. The peace talks were set to take place on a neutral space station in the Barnard star system. Diplomat Gregory Adams led the Earth delegation, accompanied by a small security team. Ambassador Collins stayed behind, uneasy about the sudden offer of negotiations. As Earth's ship approached the station, sensors detected only the expected Council vessels. Nothing seemed out of place. "I still don't like it," said the security chief as they prepared to dock. The Council changed their position too quickly. Greg nodded but remained focused on the mission. "Peace is worth the risk. If we can avoid further conflict, we should try." The Earth delegation was greeted by Vex Nor and several Council representatives. They were led to a large conference room with a view of the stars. "We recognize that the Council has made mistakes," Vex Nor began once everyone was seated. "We are prepared to offer Earth full membership status and remove all technology restrictions." Greg raised an eyebrow. "That's a generous offer, but our alliance seeks more comprehensive changes to how the Council operates." Vex Nor smiled. "Of course, we are open to discussing reforms." Back on Earth, Jack Peterson studied new intelligence reports with growing alarm. His team had intercepted communications suggesting unusual fleet movements in several Council-controlled systems. "They're gathering ships," he told Admiral Murphy and President Foster. "Far more than would be needed for security of the peace talks." Murphy checked the tactical display. "How many?" "At least 500 vessels," Jack replied. "And they're not where they claim to be." Murphy's face hardened. "It's a trap. They're using the peace talks to distract us while they prepare a massive strike." He turned to his communications officer, "Warn Adams immediately." But when they tried to contact the Earth delegation, all communications were blocked. At that moment on the neutral station, the trap was sprung. Energy fields activated around the conference room, preventing the Earth delegation from leaving. Vex Nor's friendly demeanor vanished. "Your defiance ends today," he told Greg. "While we keep you here, our main fleet is preparing to attack Earth directly." Greg remained calm. "That would be a serious mistake. Your primitive world cannot stand against our combined might," Vex Nor sneered. But Greg simply smiled. "We thought you might try something like this. That's why we sent me instead of our main leaders." On Earth, Dr. Karen Lewis activated the planetary defense grid, a system she had secretly developed over the past 5 years. Thousands of small satellites and orbital platforms came to life, creating an invisible web around the planet. "Defense grid at full power," she reported. President Foster nodded grimly. "Now we wait." They didn't wait long. Sensors detected hundreds of Council ships emerging from jump points throughout the solar system. The attack had begun. Major Kevin Harris commanded Earth's main defense fleet from his flagship. When the Council ships appeared, he was ready. "All vessels, execute Plan Theta," he ordered. Earth's ships didn't form a traditional defensive line. Instead, they scattered in seemingly random patterns, confusing the Council commanders who expected standard military formations. The Council fleet advanced toward Earth, firing their weapons. But something strange happened. Their energy beams began to dissipate before reaching their targets. "The cognitive disruption field is working," Dr. Lewis announced as she monitored the defense grid. The field, based on the unique neural patterns Dr. Wright had discovered years ago, disrupted the hive mind coordination many Council species relied on. Their ships began to move erratically, their formations breaking apart. Earth's smaller, more agile vessels darted between the confused Council ships. Rather than destroying them, they targeted propulsion and weapons systems, disabling rather than killing. Throughout the solar system, Earth had hidden automated defense platforms in the asteroid belt. These now activated, catching the Council fleet in crossfire. "Broadcast everything," ordered President Foster. "Let the galaxy see what happens when they underestimate humanity." Every moment of the battle was transmitted to all worlds in Council space. They watched as the supposedly primitive humans systematically dismantled the largest fleet the Council had ever assembled. On the neutral station, Greg showed Vex Nor a small device he had kept hidden. "This is a portable viewing screen. Would you like to see how your attack is going?" The image showed Council ships drifting powerless through space. Vex Nor's face paled as he realized the extent of their miscalculation. 3 months after the failed Council attack on Earth, representatives from over 500 worlds gathered on the rebuilt Galactic Council station. The massive chamber, once a symbol of the old order's power, now hosted something new, a truly representative assembly of species. Admiral Murphy stood with President Foster and the Earth delegation as they prepared to enter the chamber. "Nervous?" Foster asked with a small smile. "5 years ago, they laughed us out of this room," Murphy replied. "Today feels like coming full circle." Inside the chamber, the seats were no longer arranged by species rank. All representatives sat as equals in a circular pattern. At the center stood a new Council leadership platform, empty and waiting. When the Earth delegation entered, the chamber fell silent. They walked to the speaking platform, where Gregory Adams, now freed from captivity during the final surrender, addressed the assembly. "We did not seek to destroy the Galactic Council," Greg began. "We sought to transform it. For too long, this body served the interests of a few advanced species while suppressing the potential of many others." He gestured to the former Council leaders, including Vex Nor and the imprisoned Zextarian, who sat under guard in a special section. "Those who abused their power will face justice," Greg continued. "But our purpose today is not punishment. It is renewal." The new charter was displayed on screens throughout the chamber. Unlike the complex, loophole-filled document of the old Council, this one was simple and clear. All sentient species would have equal representation. Technology would be shared rather than restricted. Development would be encouraged rather than controlled. When the vote came, it was nearly unanimous. Only a few of the former ruling species opposed the changes. Sandra Mitchell, a scientist who had worked closely with Dr. Wright, was elected as the first human to serve on the new Council's leadership board. She took her place alongside representatives from both advanced and developing worlds. "Our first act," Sandra announced, "will be to share Earth's technologies with all member worlds." This declaration caused murmurs throughout the chamber. Under the old Council, such technology transfer would have been forbidden. "We developed these advances not to gain power over others," Sandra explained, "but to earn our place among the stars. Now we wish to help others do the same." In the following weeks, Earth scientists traveled to dozens of worlds, helping other species understand and adapt human innovations. Dr. Wright taught others about neural interface technology. Kelly Martinez shared the principles behind the Murphy jump drive. Laura Rodriguez demonstrated stealth field generators. A memorial was established in orbit around Earth, a space station dedicated to those who had lost their lives in the conflict. It became a symbol of the cost of arrogance and the value of recognizing the potential in all species. The Murphy Doctrine became the foundation of galactic law. Technological advancement alone does not determine a species' worth. Creativity, ethics, and cooperation were equally important measures of civilization. The former Council leaders faced trials for their crimes. Most were sentenced to help rebuild the worlds they had exploited. Zextarian himself was assigned to work on Earth, where he slowly gained a new understanding of the species he had once dismissed. 5 years after the decisive battle, a group of young aliens sat in a classroom on a distant world. Their professor, a tall being with blue skin, pointed to images of Earth and its people. "And that," the professor concluded, "is how a species once classified as primitive forever changed our galaxy. They reminded us that progress is not just about technology, but about imagination and moral courage." One student raised a hand. "But weren't humans lucky? What if the Council had taken them seriously from the start?" The professor smiled. "Perhaps, but remember this lesson. Never underestimate a species that turns adversity into strength. The Council mocked Earth, and humanity struck back not with vengeance, but with vision. That is why we now live in a galaxy where all voices matter. Outside the classroom window, ships of various designs move through space, some based on Council technology, others on human innovation, and many combining both. Together, they represented something new. A civilization built on diversity rather than dominance, on cooperation rather than control. The galaxy had been transformed, all because one primitive species refused to accept their assigned place.